In a world where we're taught to run from pain, Viktor Frankl found himself trapped in its deepest chambers, not by choice, but by fate, and what he discovered there changed the course of human understanding forever. This is not a story about despair, it's a story about hope, carved out of darkness, about meaning found in the ruins, about you and how your suffering, no matter how deep, could be the very path back to your soul. We live in a world allergic to discomfort, a culture of numbing, a generation raised on distractions, scrolling away sorrow, medicating every ache, filtering every scar. But what if pain is not our enemy? What if it is our teacher? Viktor Frankl didn't come to this conclusion from a comfortable chair in a university office. He discovered it behind barbed wire, beneath cold skies, surrounded by the stench of death. In the darkest place imaginable, a Nazi concentration camp, he uncovered a secret. Suffering, stripped of meaning, is hell, but suffering infused with meaning is transformation. He was a doctor in Vienna, a man of science, intellect, and dreams. But in 1942, his world shattered. The knock on the door came like thunder. He, his wife, and his parents were torn from their lives and thrown into the abyss of the Holocaust. Theresienstadt, Auschwitz, silence, smoke. His wife, gone. His parents, gone. And yet, in that wasteland of death, something inside him refused to die. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" he asked, "What does this demand of me?" But in the ashes of loss, Frankl began to observe something profound. That the people who survived weren't always the strongest. They were the ones who held on to a reason, a vision, a meaning. He wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how." And that, my friend, is the cornerstone of logotherapy. Freud believed we're driven by the pursuit of pleasure. Adler believed we're driven by the will to power. But Viktor Frankl introduced a third, deeper force, the will to meaning. Logotherapy, logos, the Greek word for meaning, is the idea that human beings are meaning-seeking creatures. When life becomes unbearable, what heals us isn't the removal of suffering. It's the presence of a reason to endure it, a purpose that makes the pain meaningful. Frankl would help patients who were suicidal not by giving them pills or false hope, but by guiding them to discover something, anything, that gave their pain dignity. A relationship, a dream, a responsibility, a piece of music, a faith. He wrote, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose." Imagine being in Auschwitz, stripped of your clothes, your name, your dignity, waking up each morning unsure if today is the day you'll die. Frankl observed the smallest acts, a man giving away his last piece of bread, another choosing not to betray a friend. These moments, fragile, fleeting, became sacred. They became proof that even when everything is taken from you, one freedom remains, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. In hell, he found humanity. In darkness, he found a spark. We often scream into the void, "Why me?" But maybe the real alchemy begins when we whisper, "What now?" Pain doesn't simply hurt. It chisels, it strips, it burns, it refines. It doesn't answer, it reveals. And in its raw silence, we're introduced to a version of ourselves we never knew existed. And in that sacred space of vulnerability, we meet our truest self. It is there, in the silence after the storm, that we hear something ancient whisper. You are not here to avoid suffering. You are here to transcend it. So many people carry silent grief, unseen wounds. They think they're alone in their suffering. But here's the truth. The moment you begin to make meaning from your pain, that pain stops being just a wound. It becomes a light, a lighthouse for others still lost at sea. Your suffering can become your gift, not because pain is good, but because transformation is. Frankl reminded us, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. It's not just about survival, it's about alchemy, about turning pain into purpose, scar into strength, story into salvation. When the war ended, Frankl walked out of the camps, not just as a survivor, but as a soul on fire. He had seen the worst of humanity, and yet chose to believe in its potential. He could have disappeared into grief, but instead he wrote, he spoke, he healed. He stood before rooms filled with broken hearts and whispered, "You still matter. Your suffering is not the end. It may be your beginning."
So I ask you now, what pain have you buried? What story in you is aching to be told? What if you didn't run? What if you sat with it, breathed through it, asked it what it came to teach? Suffering may not leave you the same, but perhaps that's the point. Maybe, like Frankl, you're not being broken. Maybe you're being built. There is a mountain within you. It doesn't rise in the world of form, but in the silence of your soul. It waits, it watches. And when the winds of life tear at you, when the storms of loss beat upon your chest, it stands firm, because it is not made of stone, it is made of meaning. Maybe you're not being broken at all. Maybe the cracks are how the light gets in. Maybe the fire wasn't sent to destroy you, but to forge you. Because sometimes what feels like falling apart is actually falling into place. You are not broken, you are becoming. If this spoke to your heart, if something inside you feels seen, heard, or just less alone, then stay with us. Subscribe, not because we ask, but because you found something here worth returning to.